Was my first digital Netflix on Wii? Is that possible? We definitely had the disc version for a while, and then it became like you could also get the digital thing, and we're like, yeah, let's check it out. And I'm that's interesting.
They had Netflix on the Wii?
They sure did.
That.
But I didn't have
I didn't have Netflix at that time.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you had to have the disc. That's right.
Yes.
Jeez. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when Glenn and
when
I
you said
lived
disc,
together.
I thought you meant like getting the discs like from in the mail.
not Quickster or whatever they fucking.
Oh, I totally forgot that they tried to rebrand that. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with John Hines.
Hey there.
And Randall Nolery.
Hey, folks.
And we're back as always to talk about some video games. I feel like I say this every time. It's like all three of us. So it feels like it's been a little while since it's been all three of us. I guess it's either that or like, hey, we've had all three of us here. Got a good streak going, guys.
Now we have a third option.
Exactly. But yeah, it's good to have all three of us though back in action this week to talk some video games. And I feel like this week more than usual we got a little more overlap than we typically do with the few games that we're planning on talking about here. And also I guess it's been a little while since we've started an episode with a relatively recently released game as well. And I shared some I think vague first impressions on this one on a Save It for the Cast at some point for the demo. But I'll let Randall kind of take the lead here on this one, and I'll chime in. I put a little time into this one as well. But yeah, Randall, why don't you get us started here?
Yeah, for once, Randall doesn't have a retro game.
Although kinda, in a roundabout way.
It's Star Fox. It's Star Fox 64 remade for Switch 2. They're calling it Star Fox because that's what we do these days with relaunched properties of things confusingly, even though there's already a game called Star Fox.
Star Fox 2026.
Yeah, so literally, that's now how we have to refer to it because it's not Star Fox for Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. And it's not Star Fox 64, but it absolutely is Star Fox 64, and that's not a problem. That is that's a feature, not a bug in this case.
For sure.
Yeah, it's spoken before about the love for Star Fox 64. I know John also shares said love for Star Fox 64. It's tremendous. I just want to say off the top that as someone that loves rail shooters, just generally speaking, to get effectively a AAA release of a rail shooter in 2026 is a bit of a miracle, even if it is a space for space just remake of a game that came out however many years ago.
That has already had another remake. That we've talked about on this podcast.
Yes,
kind of went into the 3DS version, a while back.
Yeah, I want to say in maybe 2011 somewhere in there.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I think so, which was also excellent because Star Fox 64 is excellent, although a little tough to play on a portable this way, as we spoke.
A little crampy,
a little crampy, yeah. Although I just had the 3DS out earlier today, still playing Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, whatever version that is.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. It sounds on par.
Doesn't it?
For their stuff,
It's not why I play that, but still finding new things in that game, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
That's wild, though.
Yes, it is. Star Fox for Switch 2 is excellent. I think for me, it helps solidify owning a Switch 2 versus anything that's come before it.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I had the same after beating the first level. I was like, finally, I'm happy to own a Switch 2. I had the same exact reaction.
Yeah. No, it's true because otherwise Switch 2 has been quite redundant with the original Switch experience for better and worse that way, and more power, and I've got the 4K nice TV and whatever, so that's cool enough, but Yeah, it wasn't so important to, I don't know, get one based on the exclusive games up till this point, basically. And then this one was like, oh, shoot, like this looks great. Like this game looks beautiful. And
it does.
The developer, Velen Studio, well, you can call them the developer. They do a great job of attributing that this game was made by that original Nintendo team before, and they're effectively taking the entire spirit of that thing lovingly into the modern context, and they know exactly what they're doing. It feels great. It looks great. All they've done is basically just additive to that Star Fox 64 core gameplay without really messing with it too much, but it's just visual additive. It's in the soundtrack, the rearrangements of those classic songs from Star Fox 64, which are still awesome on that original version, also now sound awesome in this rearranged, full orchestrated, versions of these songs. And they use them to really good effect, I would say, for moments, just like they did in 64, though, to be honest. So it's really pleased with it. I've played through the, campaign, as it were, as you're kind of going in this, on-rail shooter. I guess I should talk about the game to some degree if folks don't know what Star Fox is in general. Just on-rails, space shooter-ish, more or less, where you are flying most of the time just a regular fighter plane with
TIE Fighter-esque,
Star Wars. They're definitely the influences are definitely Star Wars and a lot of sci-fi that came before it heavily influenced Star Fox as a property, but in good ways that comes through, I would say. And the interplay between the characters, because even though it's more or less a single player campaign experience and you're flying your spaceship around on those rails, you still have some freedom of movement, and there's typically 3 other characters with you as part of your Star Fox team, and you're Fox McCloud. For some reason, they named him Fox, even though he is a fox, even though his dad is named James
McCloud.
James McCloud, but he's Fox even because he is a fox. Over here,
I was always so confused. Like I always thought his name was Star Fox back in the day.
Literally,
I was like a kid, and then it's like, oh no, wait, his name is Fox McCloud. So wait, what is Star Fox? That's just the name of the team.
Yes.
Okay, I guess. Yeah.
But
it was confusing as a kid. Yeah.
Everyone had that confusion. Why wouldn't you? Like, what are they doing? Like, that's not intuitive.
They assume you're going to read the manual. That's
which I realize I do have the 64 strategy guide, and I still have the manual around somewhere too. Yeah,
I've been racking my brain to try to remember the surnames of all of the characters, because I got Pigma Dagmar, and I haven't gotten. I was like, what was Leon's last name? Or Wolf?
That's a good one.
Well, the fact that you got any of them is pretty impressive, to be honest.
Oh, Peppy Hair, Slippy Toad.
Yeah, I guess I'll
go Lombardi because obviously he's from Brooklyn.
Or he kind of relative of the Green Bay Packers coach.
He's got the Raphael's cool but rude thing going on for sure.
No, totally. I never put that together, but that's totally his attitude. Yeah,
and they definitely play up the caricature of that. Maybe even a little bit too much in this remake. I'd say Peppy, practically every line you just can't help but remind you of your father. Your father would be so proud of you. Remember, you had a dad. And he died, Fox. You're doing a great job filling his shoes. It's every line practically with old Peppy, but it's all they're wearing it on their sleeve, but it's still great.
It's melodrama.
It's much fun. Yes, it is. We're doing our space soap opera again. Influenced from what came before it, of course. So hard to blame them too much for that. But I'm so pleased with it. Like I said, played through the campaign 3 times.
Nice.
I thought I'd seen every level, and I won't spoil some of the stuff, I guess. But Apparently I didn't actually choose Sector Z when I was doing the advanced path for some reason, so I will still do that. But I've been very pleased with how all of those levels feel based on my memory of how they feel and look. And it's fun even to go back and take on like what is effectively like the basic starter route, because after a while, once you get good at that game, you almost never end up doing those routes as often unless you're purposely not going under each, specific thing to unlock the more advanced route. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I probably haven't played some of these levels in, I don't know, like 20 plus years. Because of how I play that game, even though I would return to it relatively frequently, I would typically just kind of play through the same way, more or less. So that was really cool too. And besides the ship, there's also a tank, the Landmaster, that feels really good. But then I was always a fan of that in the 64 version as well. And then the Blue Marine, the Aqua vehicle, that was a notoriously chuggy level performance-wise in 64. And granted, they fixed, like I said before, they fixed that shit up in the analog firmware stuff. If you have both an analog 64 and the original Star Fox 64, that is no longer an issue with the performance bump that happens in that direction.
Right.
So, if you are one of those people that have all that crazy shit like I do, that's still not a bad way to play Star Fox 64. But talking to most folks that, might be able to access a Switch 2 and get this new version, it's a fantastic way to play a classic game. I'm really liking it a lot. I still haven't touched the multiplayer. The challenge stuff is a little bit weird, the way they've got it segmented, where you have to select individual levels that you've played through on the campaign. You kind of have to go back into the separate challenges menu and select those levels individually to go through Falco's specific route, his challenge routes or whatever. It didn't give you credit for that. If you did it in the campaign when you played that level, you have to actually specifically select it in this challenges mode and do the stuff there. But I'll probably end up doing all that stuff in challenges too once I, do unlock all the levels and do all that fun stuff. So here's hoping that this is a launching pad for them to do another, new Star Fox entry that is just in this same Star Fox 64 kind of way. That is ultimately what I'm looking for. Please and thank you.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'll pretty much echo everything. I won't add too much to what you said there, other than I do like pretty much all they added, other than obviously just the presentation, overhaul and upgrade and whatnot. Is like there's like some cutscenes kind of in between and whatnot, but they're still pretty short and sweet. They're just kind of like slightly more fleshed out versions of, getting the orders from General Pepper with a little bit more. And I'll say the voice acting is actually pretty solid.
It is.
Slippy's the only one that I'm a little on the fence on. And then actually unfortunately in like the opening cutscene where you actually do like I can't remember if you play a tutorial or if it's a cutscene, but you're playing as James Fox, and the voice actor for that one, I was like, this is a little off. But then like after that, I was like, this is all like Fox sounds great. Everybody sounds great. Falco's great.
Yep.
Peppy's great. Yeah, it's pretty spot on. There were a couple things I noticed, like in the Blue Marine level, there were a couple like explosions where I was like, that's like a 2D sprite. Like, come on, man, this is Switch 2.
You got to keep it faithful to the original.
Yeah.
So there were like a couple moments where I was like a little surprised. It didn't like take anything away from the experience, but I was like, I'm kind of surprised that they had to like cheap out on that effect there. And then I guess my only other gripe, like I'm not as diehard, I wouldn't even call this a gripe, but I think this is like for me the perfect analogy for Star Fox 64 across the board of every iteration of it. It kind of reminds me of like an album that you really like, but like your favorite song is the first song on the album. Like, I really think the first level in that game just like kicks off with such a bang, and like you got the two different kind of main routes that you can take, and like for me after that, and maybe it's just because I'm less familiar with the game after that, and it is especially I did take the alternate path. I did play. I got up to the final boss, and I was just getting a little frustrated with like the final battle. I kept getting like sucked into the vortex into his mouth, and I was like, I can't figure out how to dodge this, and I was just getting annoyed. And I was like, I've played enough to like chime in with Randall's thoughts on the podcast, but I am excited to like polish it off and play through it again. But even with like the added cutscenes, like it's still like I would say I've put maybe an hour into the game, if that, and was able to play a full run through without I'm not skipping cutscenes or anything like that. I got the full experience. Same. And it's really top notch. And I'm so glad you made that comment about the Switch too, because I played the first level, and as like it was like tallying up my score, I was just like, fuck yeah, man, I'm so happy I have a Switch 2 now. Just had that same exact reaction. It's awesome. I
was gonna say the only thing that I had to add to this conversation, because I don't have a Switch 2 and I don't have like this new one, but like I had like played the virtual console version briefly of Star Fox 64, and like I didn't have the N64 controller for that, so it just didn't feel right, and I never like actually put any time into that. But I did hook back up my N64 and pull out like Star Fox 64 and played that game and did a run of that.
Nice.
Hell yeah. And also, I gotta say, younger me was so much better at this game because I don't know if it's just the like distance between the last time I played this game, but like I didn't even rank on like my top scores, and so child version of John was just a much better Star Fox 64 player than I was. And like, yeah, I didn't get, I tried to do, it was like, oh, I'm going to play through all my favorite levels. And then I also didn't make it through, I think on like Sector X, maybe, that's the one where Slippy gets knocked off path, and I wasn't able to get back on track over to Macbeth, like, which is my favorite level. And like I was really interested, like how are the Landmaster levels, like because they are very different in terms of like the N64 controls.
I thought the Landmaster felt great. To me, it felt exactly like I remembered from the 64 version, and I always liked the Landmaster levels there. Specifically, like the train level is just burned into my mind. Yeah. The other one actually, I was like, oh shoot, yeah, that's right. There was 2 Landmaster levels depending on the pathway you took, and I again didn't play this one nearly as often as I did on that like path up the basically the left side, more or less of the galaxy there. So I was like, oh, that's super cool. But no, it feels really great to me. And it's similarly like the inverted kind of aiming and the boost and stuff like that. The only thing I will say, and I do, of course, I'm a total sicko. I do have the Nintendo 64 Switch controller, and they do allow for play with that, which I love very much.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. Nice.
It is,
nice.
It is. It feels great that way too. And I did actually at first I played just with the Pro controller, the Switch 2 Pro controller, which feels great
and it
too.
Plays great. Yeah, and I echo all those sentiments with the Landmaster. Even as being someone not super familiar with the original control scheme, I was like, oh, this feels pretty natural.
It does. Yeah. The only thing that was throwing me off with the 64 controller is like the flick and the left C button, like give me my the loop, the vertical loop to there, bogey on your tail, and you do your loop thing and whatever. Like that flick is something that I could do really fast on 64, and it feels like you have to be a little bit more precise or particular about it in this version, at least on the 64 controller. I'm like, So that was throwing me off a few times because, again, you're talking about Andros and the Andros fight where he's trying to suck you into his mouth and chew up your wings. Doing that flip sometimes can buy you enough time where he's not doing his vacuum anymore if you don't have bombs to throw in his mouth otherwise.
Okay, see, I didn't know that was the strategy either.
Yeah.
I don't
also
know how I
didn't.
The 3DS version, I just thought you had to. I was just like flying into the far corner of the screen, just like trying to avoid the vortex.
Granted, sometimes if you're not like far enough, away when he's doing that, and you don't get him in his eyes or whatever, like he might get you anyway, depending on how long he's trying to vacuum you in there. But
yeah. No, but heck yeah, I'm really pumped. And also cool that we've been on a little bit of a downer on Nintendo. I think all of us, a little bit. So it was cool to see them release this at the $50 price point. Obviously, the physical version was a little bit more, although I got it on Amazon for that $50. Like, they, for whatever reason, had this and that Yoshi game at like the digital price when they launched. So I was like, I'm just going to grab those now because you never know when those are going to go on sale. Although, on the other hand, I just saw Kirby Air Riders the other day for $50. So I was like, I should have just waited on that one because I definitely dropped 80 or 70 or whatever it was on that game. So, but yeah, definitely, like you said, happy to put this Switch 2 game on the shelf amongst the others that I'm, I guess, not quite as happy to own just yet.
Oh yeah, no, it's very, very pleased that this exists. That is,
Heck yeah.
Maybe I'll talk about it again if I can get into. I've heard the multiplayer is pretty decent, so I do want to check out that a little bit in some capacity and do more of the challenges. So,
yeah, I kind of forgot about the multiplayer, aspect, completely. Other than I saw there's some kind of like
64. Like I did the multiplayer, the 4-player split screen with my cousins, even though it's like small TV and hard to tell. But I'm just like, I just love this game too much to not bring it along. So
yeah, and there's some kind of co-op, 2-player like co-pilot mode as well that you can play with like the mouse controls. Like I think somebody can like fly the ship and somebody can do the aiming and the shooting and stuff. I don't know exactly how that works, but possibly a fun mode to like play with my nephew or something. Like I always bring my Switch. I've never actually brought the Switch 2 over when I've like been babysitting, but I actually thought about it the other day. I was like, hey man, I wonder if he would like Star Fox. Like that could be fun.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll save it for another time, but I do think it's a game that we could potentially get into together. So
yeah, it's fun. It's fantastic.
Heck yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad that we're pretty much on the same page with that one. Even more so glad to hear your thoughts on that, though, being like a bigger fan of the original 64 game coming into it. So glad to hear it wasn't like it's not quite as good as the original kind of thing. So even though there's still full merit to playing the original.
For sure.
This by no means like replaces that game. It's just kind of cool to see a fully, more cinematic version of it or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, just a bigger modern budget version of the same thing. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I guess I can kind of take us in a different direction from there. And I think John has also put a little bit of time into this game as well. We're probably coming, from right about the same amount of time into this game. And this is a game that I think I've mentioned maybe in passing on a Save It for the Cast. But if not, I've definitely talked to you guys about it. And like as soon as I first saw this game, it's called Cast and Chill. And I just immediately was like, oh my God, this looks so up my alley. If you're familiar with the game Kingdom or the series Kingdom that I've talked about, and I'm sorry that I'm going to repeat some of the stuff that I said on the Save It for the Cast about this game, but I left it pretty brief, so I'll get a little more in depth here, but not too much, and no pun intended with the depth and the fishing and whatnot. But anyways, like, it's a parallax, side-scrolling, multiple layers of parallax, like so many layers where you're like, and you just immediately see this game, you see a character like out on a boat. And I will say the trailer for this game, they do an amazing job kind of selling. They got this voice actor that's got kind of like a John Goodman sort of quality. Nice. That's just kind of like, chatting you up, and they play it as if it's like the shop owner in the game. There is no actual voice acting in the game itself, but like in the trailer, it's like as if that guy's talking to you. And that is one of my favorite parts of the game. Like, you're going in and you go into your shop, you start out the game in any various location that you pick from the map, and then you're just trying to set, out on the body of water. It's usually a lake to the best of my knowledge, or a little pond or whatever. And then there's in any given location, to the best of my knowledge, there's 5 different fish, and then there's, any different number of like lures that you can buy, boats that you can buy, and all these things you can typically upgrade your rod to, be able to have a longer line or more tension that it can handle. And then each of those, rods and lures and different, quote unquote settings or pieces of equipment are going to be better for catching different types of fish. And you can go into your encyclopedia or whatever you want to call it, to look and see like what might be best for this type of fish or what might be best for this location. But it's got a ton of charm. Like I do really love like when you go to the shop, like I didn't realize at first, like you're looking at all the different things you can buy, and then right on the counter, there's like a little tip jar. And when you're looking at the map location, there's like different like question mark spots on the map, and you're like, it'll give you like a little like hint or something at the bottom of the screen. And I was like, I wonder what these are. Is this just like a hint telling me how to like catch different types of fish in this area? Like, what's the deal? But then I saw a little exclamation point on that tip jar, and I clicked on it, and then I threw the guy a tip, and then he like gives you a little hint on like, oh, here's a little secret fishing spot over here, over by the beaver dams. And then it opens up that new area of the map, and you can go out and try to fish. But where this game does stray a little bit from Kingdom, and I mentioned on the Saver for the Cast, is like there's kind of just no incentive to do anything. Like the only incentive to do anything is just that like I like being in this environment, I like looking at the visuals, I like listening to the music, I like the overall vibes. But like the gameplay, and the gameplay is fun enough. I will say it's not the most like engaging fishing mechanic, although I don't know what they could have done, because like if it was some kind of golf meter type situation, like I could also see that getting like unbearably repetitive as well. And I guess that's kind of the game just boils down to like, so far it is a little bit repetitive, but at the same time I am having a lot of fun with it. It's been perfect. I mentioned before we started, like the World Cup's been going on at the time that we're recording this here, so it's been the perfect thing to like I can really passively play this game while I'm really kind of more tuned in to what's on the TV or whatever podcast I'm listening to, where usually it's kind of the other way around. I kind of have a podcast or a show on in the background, and, I'm playing a game that I'm more focused on. So it's been a good game to like sink into in the background like that. But it's by no means capturing like that, the magic of Kingdom that I was really hoping, because I really feel like Kingdom nails that like the two different modes of like building up your, civilization and just kind of clearing out the path, or not civilization, but building up your kingdom or whatever, your fortress. But then having to shift into like the tower defense mode every night and having to like manage your time a little bit better. There's just a little bit better resource management and that risk reward. And this game is just kind of lacking all of that, for better or worse. And in most cases, kind of for worse, but I don't want to say that as like a totally like, I got the game on sale for $10 instead of 15, and by no means I'm not mad that I have it, and I'm definitely going to keep playing it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on it, John?
It's a similar thing. Like, I think the presentation of it is gorgeous, and like all of those like progression systems are like really well laid out and like intricately entwined with like the locations you're going and the different fish that you're catching. But yeah, like the actual fishing mechanics are just like not fun. Like it is there is that idle mode where like it'll just play the game for you, and like it's gorgeous to just watch like all of the particle effects. Every like aesthetic choice that they've made like looks really good, and like the presentation of it is really good. But like when I like fishing mini games in a lot of different games. We've talked about them like over the years in the podcast. So like when like I got to the point where it's like, all right, I'm casting out the line, and then I just press the action button, and I just hold the action button, like, and then I catch the fish, and I'm like, that's it. That's what you want me to do for the entirety of this game. And that was a big disappointment, because like everything else in this game is so strong, and like I want to be in this like game, but like I honestly think the best way to play it is kind of hitting the idle mode and letting it play itself, which is a bummer for me, at least. Like
I couldn't agree with you more. I was getting ready. I still haven't recorded a video for it yet, and I almost was tempted. I think I was like, for the video, I'm about to just hit idle mode and just let it go. It's like you get the same idea, and it's just like I'm not going to get like caught up in like, because sometimes you might get like, essentially like you said, you're either pressing the action button, or you can pull up on the joystick, or you can kind of like jiggle the joystick to kind of like get the lure kind of like shimmy in the water, or get a little, try to catch the fish's attention or something like that. Or there are various things that can happen, like you might catch a small fish, but then a bigger fish will come in and just like snatch that smaller fish right off the hook. So there's like some cool little like small like immersive things that can happen here and there. But yeah, you really are just like kind of like pulling the rod back and then just waiting. The only feedback really is like you'll see some like bubbles popping up from the fish's mouth when they're really kind of tugging on the line, and you just don't want to pull during that moment. You want to kind of release, let the fish tug for a second, and then start pulling again. And that, you might catch a fish that's too big for the rod or the line that you have at the moment. And, it is really just kind of like, I made that comment before we started. Like, it really is just kind of like an idle game, not only with that idle mode, but like it just reminds me of that in the sense that you are just kind of grinding to earn enough money to buy the next boat that can go a little faster and can store more fish so you can just stay out there longer, But it is cool. Like, the thing that I like about the idle mode, you can like turn off, like you can toggle on and off a few different settings, like to like, I don't want it to catch any like trophy fish while it's in idle mode. Like, I don't want it to like set any records for me. So it's cool that it has some like little fine tune, settings like that. But yeah, a little bit disappointed on the whole. But that's partially a little bit on me, being that Kingdom is one of my favorite game series of all time. And I saw a game that looked very reminiscent of it and was just like, oh my God, if they just take that and turn it into like a fishing game. And like you said, John, thinking of all the cool fishing game, mini game mechanics that have been in tons of games over the years, I guess my excitement kind of got the best of me and, left me a little bit disappointed. But I will say it's still right at the top of my 5 games that are in my Switch rotation at the moment. And fully intend on, getting some more time in with the game for sure. But anyways, if you're good to leave it there on the cast and chill side of things, I think we can close it out here with another game that we both put a little bit of time into.
Yeah. So I've been playing a lot of Celeste 64 Fragments of the Mountain, which was a free game released, I think, only on itch. I'm not sure if it was released anywhere else. By the
I don't
team.
know, maybe on like their website or something like that. But yeah, I played on itch as well. Yeah.
Yeah, by the Celeste team, like as just, a celebration. I think it was for the 6th year update or anniversary, where there's like, hey, here's a like 64-bit era reminiscent throwback 3D platformer version of Celeste. And, I was just going through my itch library and I think I had downloaded it when it first came out, and I booted it up and played it for a few seconds and said, oh, this looks neat. And then I put it away.
Yep.
And it was only until I booted it back up again and actually put some time into it. And I initially started playing it on my computer, and then after I got, a couple strawberries in, I was like, I really need to figure out how to play this on my Steam Deck. And I downloaded it there and was able to play it with a controller, because it is a precision platformer that's 3D.
Oh yeah.
But man, I adore this game. This is so much of it has a lot of DNA, obviously of Mario 64, because it's got the 64 in the title, but it has the B-sides, basically the Super Mario Sunshine floodless levels, where it has a very pastiche level of the soundtrack sounds exactly like the Super Mario Sunshine levels.
Yeah, that wah wah.
Yeah,
wah wah. It's really really good. They nailed that aspect of the presentation. Actually, every aspect of the presentation, but particularly the first time I popped into one of those B-side levels, and you had even mentioned that they did that in the Discord, and it still caught me by surprise. I was like, oh my God, they nailed this.
It's incredible. And then, yeah, even the Super Mario Odyssey level of oh yeah, this is all contiguous. They're not individual levels that you go to. This is just one open world that you are getting the strawberries in, and you're just constantly doing that the entire time. And
that's sick.
It is such a fully realized single level. My only disappointment is that there's not more of it. I think it's
especially because on that title, after you are on the title screen and you hit A, it looks like it's a level screen, so it makes you think, oh, there's gonna be more than one, and then you're like, oh shoot, there is only just this one level. And not that that's literally it's a free game that the developers made, poured a ton of love into. But yeah, I had that same reaction of just I wish there was more. And I don't know if you finished it. I think I read online there's 30 strawberries on the level. level. I got about half of them. I'm at 13, I think.
I'm at 28, and I haven't looked up. Like when I looked up that there were 30, like I got spoiled on a couple of them that I hadn't gotten, but I'm loving this game, and I'm kind of determined to 100% it and get a little bit better time maybe on another playthrough. But like, it's built for speed running. It has like the time that you spend on it down to like, I don't know, not what's smaller than a millisecond, like a nanosecond.
Yeah.
And it has, you know, the death counter and how many strawberries on like the like level select screen. But yeah, it's such a great, free, fully realized concept of like a game that like, I don't know. It's really impressive to see, and I wasn't expecting it to be as, I don't know, like polished as it is. Like I was when I first booted it up, I was like, oh, this is a cute little idea. But then like playing through it, I was like, no, this is a full game. This is like complete.
Incredible.
Yeah. And I think really the only thing they changed mechanically is that, to the best that I could tell, like when you're climbing as Madeline or like clinging to a wall, it seems like you can like indefinitely grip to that wall, whereas you had like that kind of stamina, you know, not necessarily meter, but you could see that like, oh, I'm about to lose my grip. I gotta let go, and I gotta jump and find somewhere to go, where this like, you know, it eliminates that factor. But there were some really cool sections where, you know, you're utilizing the same mechanics that you do in the 2D version of the game, where you like, you know, you're on like a platform that you trigger and then it starts moving, and then when you jump, because you were already moving, like the momentum and the inertia like carries you over this like huge gap. And then some of the different like bubble jumps and different bounce platforms, like there was even one section where you're kind of bouncing all the way up to this like, you know, high strawberry that's up on, you know, after like triggering all these little spring platforms. And I was like, man, how the hell do you get up here? And I finally realized that you had to hold down the jump button to bounce higher off of the springs. But then even still, there was like one part where you had to like, I don't know for sure if this was how it was working, because it didn't do any kind of animation, but it felt like I had to almost do that Mario mechanic where you're like running in one direction and then immediately switch to the other direction and jump. Because I was like, I can't jump high enough. But then when I did that fast enough, no, I haven't like talked to any of the characters or read any of the signs at all. So interesting. That's even cooler. Like
the game, it's so good. It is such a good game. Like
that, it's like somehow a love letter to Celeste itself, and then a love letter to Mario 64 and just 3D platformers in general.
Incredible.
It's
and like
it's a really
that
cool
specific
package.
translation of a 2D game into a 3D space, and like that specific moment in game development when is like, okay, well, how do we translate this like concept into a like whole new frame of reference? And like they did it. They did it really well.
Not an easy thing to do, by the way.
No.
A lot of folks failed at that exact transfer.
Yes. Even when trying to make a full-blown like AAA, you know, transition from 2D to 3D, this is like, you know, some people that made an amazing indie game, obviously, but then we're like, we're just gonna like, for the love of for the love that we have for this game, you know, we're gonna celebrate it by making like another celebration of like the games that came before it and the game itself. Like it's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you gave me the nudge to boot it back up, because I had the same, slightly different, but it had that like, okay, I fired it up, and then I was like, oh, I want to record a video for this, and just like was like, well, I'll do it eventually, and just kind of never got back around to it. And was glad that I had that nudge from you to fire this back up and re-download it on my computer. But it's so cool, and it you know, being a 3D platformer, it's not often that I play 3D games on my little, you know, laptop here, and it ran great. I will say I recorded a video of my time with it, but the video got kind of choppy. But even with that, like, I didn't notice that while playing at all. So it was really just the fact that, okay, my computer can't handle literally running this game and recording it at the same time, but that's no fault of the game itself. And the fact that it was able to still, because usually when I run into that issue, I notice the chugging while I'm playing the game too.
Right.
And I guess that was slightly a bummer, because then I was like, oh shit, that video, I can't post it. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, well, I'll just bust out a different method of capturing the video, hopefully, and be able to pull that off. But really, really cool game, and so cool to see them do a second love letter, because I know we talked about the, Celeste 2 Pico 8 Lonnie's Trek way back in the day on the podcast too, that like introduced kind of a full new mechanic, which is really cool too. And I guess this game kind of does in a different way introduce some new mechanics, but just so cool. And I'm really excited. I know we talked about before the podcast here that they kind of canceled their upcoming project. I think they go by Extremely OK Games now.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm excited to see whatever they do next. Whether I would love to see them do another Celeste anniversary celebration of any kind. To be honest, I think we all come from a place where we're all pretty big fans of that original game.
Definitely.
I don't want to speak for you guys, but that game is just holds up as good as ever, and just cool to see this love letter to that game itself.
Sure.
From the people that made it. But yeah, anything else that we want to gab about tonight before we wrap things up here, guys?
Not this week.
Nice. Well, as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com, and just about anywhere else. Just look up Pursuing Pixels and you can find us somewhere around there. And until next week, we will catch you then, and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
But heck yeah. Man, that was like one of our more like, other than Cast and Chill being like a slight downer, like one of our more like fucking juiced about video games in a while.
Couple of heavy hitters there, so it checks out.
For sure.
Yeah, I would definitely be curious to see your thoughts on some Celeste 64 as well, Randall. If you had no pressure, but if you ever get around to checking it out.
I did boot it up, but I didn't connect a controller, and I just was like, let me move around, and I'm like, this looks amazing and sounds amazing. I just don't have time for this right now, but it is on my machine, so
heck yeah.
Yeah.
In the way that, like...
Definitely needs a controller.
Yes. I did, like, a few strawberries, but it was so much of, like, a precision platformer that I was like, I cannot do this on a mouse and keyboard. Like,
no. I gotta say, it works, like, camera control feels great. Like,
there are
everything about it feels nice.
There are some strawberries where, having to do the dual stick, like, camera control and precision platforming is a heavy task. But